everybody. Good morning to you all. Happy Monday to you. Where are you, Facebook world? There you are. Happy Monday, Facebook world. And let me get a couple of you in here. Uh-oh. I'm not on Instagram. Instagram people, I hope you're all right. I'm not in Instagram this morning. It's a little too much. Instagram and trying to get this all in is a little too much. So Instagram's just going to have to hold out today. Sorry, Instagram world. Good morning to everybody. Good morning to you all. Let me change to my gallery, see who I got in here. Sandy's doing something in the kitchen. She's baking something. It's probably like a breakfast casserole. It's a breakfast casserole. It's something big. I know it. What's up, Mike? Chris is here. Suave just came back from Tennessee, the lodge. D, you were on my list today to talk to. I missed you. Nick, welcome, Nick. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us today. Facebook world, good morning to everybody in the Facebook world. It is a Monday morning Maxwell day today. Last Monday it was Memorial Day weekend, Memorial Day Monday. So we brought in some of the soldiers. That Audie Murphy, I believe, was the one that we talked about. Really good story on that. Buenos dias. So say good morning. If this is your first time being on here, tell us where you're from, where you're at. Throw it in the chat. We always like to network and connect on here. Facebook, don't be bashful as well. Good morning, everybody. My name is Brock Zevan. I'm a life coach, business coach, real estate agent, and a dad. And this past weekend was dad mode. You will see the pictures coming out. We went camping with Bryce, Brielle, and her friend Eden. So a 4-year-old and two 10-year-olds. And it was a really fun time. I was just telling Mike, I got to spend some quality time by the campfire. It's great to see the kids getting a little bit older. So I got some thought process. How many of you have been around a campfire and like the world just like opens up? Your brain just goes off in la la land. I don't know what it is. It's just being next to a campfire does something to you. Tell me if that's happened to you. You've been around a campfire and just something trickles, right, Lisa? Lisa gets it. What's up, Ryan? What's up, Karen? Right? And it's either a campfire and also some of my other thinking places. Tell me if this has happened to you. On a boat. Anytime I'm like, I'd be sitting on a boat and like my world, just my brain starts going. So a lot of great things I'm going to be sharing with you in this upcoming week. Some new visions, some changes. We talked about it on Figured Out Friday on that. I did put the video that God had me listen to Friday morning. I did put it on Figured Out Friday Mindset Show. So if you are on the private Facebook page, go take a look at it. It is an 11-minute video that talked about the voices. TG Jakes was the one that I was listening to. So if you get a chance, take a look at that, and you'll see some of my camping pictures that I had with the kids. So great time I had with them. So today is Monday morning with John Maxwell. I finished my certification with John Maxwell this August. I'm excited to be certified coach with him. And so what we do each and every morning, and Mondays, Jay, if you can put this in the chat, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership is the book that we share each and every Monday. So the one today, what law is this? I know it's the law of buy-in, but what number is this? Number 14, the law of buy-in. And here's the question I'm going to ask you, all right? Taking notes. For those taking notes, here's the question I want to ask yourself. And if you're driving, don't do anything crazy. Let me go to speaker. But Colin, thank you. You're the only person on video, Colin. Thank you. Everybody else is hiding. It's okay. What's up, Pat? Here's the question I have for you. All right. First, the law of buy-in. The law of buy-in states this: people buy in to the leader, then the vision. People buy in to the leader, then the vision. Now, Michelle, the question I'm going to ask everybody on here is the following. Okay, this might hurt you, but you'll be okay. You're all strong on this Monday. Do you have the buy-in in the people you lead? Do you have the buy-in of the people you lead? What's up, Todd? Now, my question becomes to you then on this Monday morning is, who are you leading? Like, who are the people you're leading, right? Who's in your environment that you're leading? And I'm going to share with you a little bit here on how I broke this down. And the second question is, are they willing to follow you as you follow your vision? Are they willing to follow you as you follow your vision? Now, question I I came into myself is just like, well, I looked at this past weekend for those that have children, my kids will follow me and they will follow my vision because of why. Why will my kids do that, right? I see Cullen's mouth moving there. I mean, guys, it's a pretty simple response, but really let's peel the onion back on it. My kids follow me because they don't know what else to do. Like they don't have any other options. They haven't grown up enough to be able to explore, well, dad is right. Like it's my dad, whatever my dad says makes sense, and that's what I do, because they don't know anything else. Now, give me a thumbs up if you agree with this comment, or put a yes in the chat. But does that change as you get older? Does that change as we get older? And does it happen that the older we get, we sometimes don't start to feel the same way? We're like, I don't know about that, Dad. Okay. Now, as an adult, is it true to say that we also have to buy in a little bit harder because we're not too sure? Like, boy, that sounds really good. Do we struggle buying in as we get older? Yes or no to that? Do we struggle buying in as we get older? Wow, Facebook world is on fire this morning. A lot of comments on Facebook. Zoom is sleeping today. It's okay, Zoom. It's all right to be sleeping. Facebook world, I like the engagement. Yeah, as we get older, this buy-in process, whether we're trying to have people buy into us or whether we buy into somebody else, we start to really wonder. We start to second guess. We start to understand, like, I'm not too sure if I really trust this person. Or, boy, it sounds really good, but then we second guess ourselves. And the older we get, we start to have our own opinions of different things. One of the things I always say as we get older, one of the things that takes place is when you get married and you have kids, and you go celebrate Christmas for the first time. I remember going through this with Laura. It was like she had Christmas. Like, she's like, all right, this is what we're going to do for Christmas. This is how we're doing the stockings and this. I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? Like, that's not how I did Christmas. I thought this was Christmas. I'm like, Christmas is like this. And she's like, well, no, Christmas is like this. Were either one of us wrong? No, but we didn't buy into each other because we didn't know each other's visions of how Christmas was. And we took previous experiences of how our parents raised us and we are implementing into our children. And so it's very important that we understand and how we're buying in. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to bring a little personality into this, bring a little personality into the law of buy-in. The DISC personality, for those, Tony Robbins DISC, the DISC, if you don't know it, you need to go look into it, take the test. But high I's struggle with buy-in. High I's struggle with buy-in. Does anybody have an idea why a high I struggles with buy-in? Anybody have a guess on why high I? Now, this is important because how many of you are entrepreneurs? How many of you are in sales? You need to know personalities. I strongly believe that if you don't understand yourself, how can you analyze others? Does anybody have an idea why high I struggles with a buy-in? I'll give you a clue. Does 100% of people buy into you? Absolutely not. So when you don't have people that buy into you, Colin, and when you don't have people buy into you, Stephanie, what happens is you get sad and you be like, what the hell? Why didn't they buy in? I struggle with this, Lisa. If Bryce cried yesterday and he hurt himself and all of a sudden he's crying for mom, I'm like, whoa, what are you doing, Bryce? Come on now. Dad's right here. I've been taking care of you all weekend. Why all of a sudden are you mad at me and sad at me? My eye gets a little deflated. And so when people don't buy into you, you start to have a panic attack and you start to cry. What do you mean nobody likes me? What do you mean they said no to me? I don't understand this. And so what happens is we keep ourselves in the buy-in doesn't exist because we keep to ourselves, because the fear of being rejected takes over. And that's why we struggle with for sale by owners and expireds. Remember back in the day, even asking for a date? How many of you would be nervous to ask somebody out on a date? I don't know. I'm a little nervous to ask somebody out because why? Rejection takes place. And we're nervous that they won't buy into us. And really what it is we didn't buy into ourselves yet. We are still growing through ourselves. And so let me share with you a personal story that took place to me on buy-in. And this buy-in was a defining moment for me because people buy into a leader than the vision. So throughout my journey, many of you are going to be like, well, why should I follow this guy? Why should I follow this guy? Well, failure typically leaves clues. Okay, success and failure are both needed. Okay, would we all agree in order to be successful, failure is part of the ingredient? Yes or no? That give me a thumbs up if you agree with that comment right there. That failure is an agreement. Chris, I like the head nod. Very good. I'll take it as he sips a cup of coffee. Now, back in 2019, December 11, 2018, I lost my real estate license. And at the time period, I started my own company, Compass Real Estate Group, back in the early, I don't know, mid 2000s. And I started my company, and then I left my company, and then I ended up going into Keller Williams. And then when I went to Keller Williams, and I lost my license on December 11th, 2018. I had to make some very challenging decisions. And basically they said to me, are you going to go back to school teaching? And I said, no, I'm not going to go back to school teaching. And they said, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm just going to stick around here and I'll figure it out. And that's how they figured out Friday. And some of you have heard the story, but there's a little bit of some small ingredients that you might not know. So back in December, when I lost my license, the only way that I can make money is I got my license down in Fort Mill. I drove down to South Carolina, hung my license there, ended up going to EXP, because I had to stay with the national company. I ran everything through a 50% referral program, still had people bitching, crying, whining, and be like, how could he possibly do that? Well, everything was legal in what I did. Well, people still would get mad at me prior to me going to EXP that I ended up that Keller Williams on June, literally at the end of this month, 4 years ago, Keller Williams brought me into the office, one of the owners, and said, we're going to have to let you go. And I said, well, how can a 1099 person be let go? And they said, well, because we just have too many undertones, and I'm the owner of the company. We're all, franchise owners. And so I could fire you, basically is what took place. And so I said, well, what about my team? And very nicely, he said, the team can stay, but you have to leave. Now, remember, I didn't have a license, so the only way I could make money was off of referrals. I had 6 people on my team in 2018, December. I had 18 people on my team in July. People were getting pissed. Like, how can this guy be growing? How can he triple his agent count when he doesn't have a real estate license? So, like, there was just so many undertones that were taking place. And haters, when they find things, they really want to attack. And so here's where the law of buy-in takes place, everybody. I remember this back in the last week of June. I went to Aquesta Bank. I went to a local bank off the I couldn't do it on campus, the Keller Williams campus. I met everybody and I said, I have to have a conversation with you all, and I have to tell you what was taking place. Now, majority of the team already knew my situation, but they didn't care because they were growing and I was coaching them. And so they were getting, everybody was making money. So when you make money, people don't get upset. And so what happens is I sat down and I talked to everybody. And to be honest with you, behind the scenes, I was scared shitless. I mean, completely scared out of my mind, because the only way I could survive, I was living in a $500,000 house. I had kids, like everything. I just had a newborn. Like literally, Bryce was only 6 months old. Like I was Bryce makes fun of me now with my gray hair, but I was really struggling in my life. I was very, very sick because I had so much stress on me. And I remember standing in front, and I'm like, what the hell am I going to say? Like, what am I possibly going to say right now? And for whatever the grace of God, and I wasn't as spiritual as I was then as I am today, but boy, I could have asked a couple more questions of God at that point. So whatever it was, he had the plan. I shared it with everybody at the time period, and we did a ballot and everybody put their names on. And I said, I have to leave Keller Williams and I'm going to EXP. And at the time, EXP wasn't in a very, exciting place, and it's not as known as it is today. And I said, it's the only place that I could really go that financially makes sense and what I could do with the company and on a national level. And so why I say people buy into the leader than the vision. See, I was sharing my vision of how we were going to grow and how we were going to go and what it looked like. But I didn't know as a leader at that time, that was my defining moment. Everybody took the ballots, they wrote their name in. We went back to the office. Heather at the time period was my operating manager. We went back and I remember to a T, I told everybody, I'll let you know what we decide to do. I really had no clue. I had no faith in what was about to happen, because everybody, I'm like, why would they not stay at Keller Williams? Why would they go transfer to a company that nobody really likes right now? There's a lot of adversity. There's so many challenges. And I was so negative. All these thoughts in my head were negative. And God kept, I don't know, he had his own plan for me. I sat down, and sometimes at this point, I feel much more confident, but I typically cry during this moment because I couldn't believe what took place. I couldn't believe what happened, that literally all 18 people bought in. The law of buy-in happened to me in June 30th, 2019. And I didn't understand it until I was reading it the last couple of weeks of the Law of the Buy-in. See, the people bought into the leader, then they bought into the vision. They understood what I was doing. They understood that they believed in me that if I just stick with this guy, somehow, some way, he will figure it out and he will put us in the right position. And that was a defining moment for me that I was like, damn, I said, let's double check the numbers again. Let's count again. But there's no way all 18 people, like even this person said yes to me. Like, there's no way, no way. I was like, damn. Then the first thing I thought, I was like, shit, I got to go buy a bunch of desks. I got no office. What the hell am I going to do with 18 people? I had a whole nother problem on my hands. But I was like, damn. I gave high fives. And man, I was so excited. Right before my birthday on July 3rd, I was able to go in the office. And I said, thank you so much for having us. We'll be out in 2 weeks. I didn't know where I was going, but I got to tell them all 18 people are coming with me. That was a defining moment in my life. That was the law of the buy-in. But then I learned that there's a process to the buy-in. I'm going to share with you these 3 steps that John puts here in the chapter. Okay. The first step that had to happen, the process. See, the buy-in is happening to you right now. To some of you, people are buying into you. Okay. See, I didn't know I was going through these 3 steps at the time, but when I read them, I was just like, damn, well, that makes sense. So the first step is to the buy-in is number 1 is they have to buy in to your character. They have to trust you. So I ask you, how many people trust you? See, when I was in my drinking days, nobody freaking trusted me. Not a single person. I'm going to tell you I got to hold on once. I even got to show this to you. So I read this. It's at the bottom of our stairs, and me and the kids read our house rules. If you ever want it, it's a really cool thing. But here's a painful moment I had, because it says we buy into the character they trust. And number 3 is we always tell the truth. And one time we were reading it, and Brielle says to me, hey, Dad, read that one again. And that one hurt me because she felt that I wasn't telling the truth. And so I really, really am very on telling the truth. And for those that are on here today, the character of what you put out there with people, I had zero trust. I had to freaking work my way up to it, because in 2016, when I stopped drinking, I was the biggest lying, conniving, manipulating SOB out there, because I was all self-centered about me and what I can get. And so when I had to turn that around, and that doesn't happen overnight, but I love the process of building trust. Number 2, they buy into your competence. They buy into your competence. The more you demonstrate competence, the more they buy in. They have to understand what you're doing. You got to have a good track record. My track record was piss poor. If I tried to do the exact same thing that I did the last week in June 2019 and tried to do it in June of 2016, people would have given me the middle finger and told me to go fly. First of all, I wouldn't have had 18 people. But the only people who would have followed me were the people that I bought drinks with at the bar. Those were the only people that would follow me. Like, well, let me hang out with this guy because he keeps buying me drinks. That's it. But those people were in it for themselves. Competence of building the credibility with you. Now, number 3 is the most important one, and I'm going to really ask you guys to think about this one. They buy into your commitment. They buy into your commitment. It says this: only commitment will keep a leader engaged in the cause, and only the demonstration of that commitment will prompt others to buy in. I was talking to my dad over the weekend about motivation and discipline. And discipline to me is when you take commitment and you crank it up another gear. And I was telling my dad about a garden. Like, I'm always motivated by a garden, but it's the discipline of watering it. It's the commitment at the time. I'm committed to have a garden. I'm motivated to have a garden. I go buy the garden. I go to Lowe's. I plant the garden. And then like freaking 30 days later, it's dead, because the discipline of me watering it vanished. And so commitment for the power of buy-in is being like, they see you're committed. Not only do you talk it, because the talk is not going to work during the challenging times, you got to freaking walk it. And so some of you, while you're listening to this today, Pat and Lisa and Karen and Colin and Chris and Sandy and Nick, see, the commitment is what you do every day. The commitment is, are you showing up? The commitment is, are you doing what you say you are going to do? Because it's not going to happen overnight. It takes work. It takes every day of showing in and what it looks like. You don't get the credibility. So like when you see athletes, the buy-in, why advertisements say like, oh, let's use LeBron James, let's use Michael Jordan, let's use these Tiger Woods, let's use these athletes. And then we look in the celebrities and what endorsements they give politicians and blah, blah, blah. What happens is these social media streams, these advertisements, they're like, let's just do it right away because they have the money. Let's endorse Michael Jordan. Let's endorse LeBron James. And like, let's give him this sponsorship and let's pay him this much money. And then what people see, they're like, oh, well, if he's doing it, it must be the right thing. I don't know about you, but the real life of the real people that you walk and bump elbows with and talk to every day don't have that instantaneous credibility. Now, I will give those athletes some credit that we don't see what they do behind the scenes on how they are and their work ethic and in their practice schedule. I mean, Kobe Bryant would sleep 3 to 4 hours a day. Like, I get it. But at the same token, we don't get that luxury. The luxury that we have freaking comes at 4:40 in the morning when my alarm goes off. The luxury when Bryce is crying and screaming. The luxury when all these things are taking place and all these things are happening in my life. It just like, that's when you earn it. That's when those things take place. And so you have to work for it every day to be able to have that buy-in, because people aren't just going to buy in every day. You got to earn it. Now, the last thing I'll end on is this. This happens a lot in the football world. Well, it happens a lot in sports, but specifically in football, typically quarterbacks and head coaches. So a lot of times you can have a leader and you can have the vision, but it doesn't work. And most of the time, correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't met an owner of a company, of a business or a franchise or a team say, you know what, we're going to fire all the players and we're going to get new players because they're not buying into the coach. I don't know if they, but that doesn't really happen. What happens first? The coach, see ya. The coach is out first because they will always come after the leader. Now, if you fire the coach and the team sucks, and in this case here, I'm going to use the New York Jets because I'm a big Jets fan and this is what took place last year, this is like literally real stuff, okay? For those who don't follow the New York Jets. But the Jets last year were doing really well. They were 7-4. We had a really good defense, but we were one player away from being successful, and that was the quarterback. And so the quarterback's play was so poor that we ended up losing the last 7 games of the season, okay? We went 0-7 the last 7 games because we were missing one person. This year, the Jets in the offseason changed the leadership of the quarterback and got somebody who has credibility, who has trust, who has competence, okay? Has committed himself in the NFL career, and we get Aaron Rodgers. One player, okay? One player has transformed the entire organization that we went from ranked number 30 or 29 to we are now in the top 3 to potentially to win the Super Bowl for one player, okay? So you could be one vision away. You could be one leader away from whatever goal that you have, but you got to buy into yourself first. And so when I've been going through my last 3 weeks, and I shared with you last Friday of buying in my vision and what I want to do and everything else, it all starts with me. And why I started on my campfire is because I had a lot of time to think. Some of you are so busy, you're not thinking about your vision. You're not even seeing who you're leading. So when I started, the question is, do you have the buy-in of the people you lead? I first ask you, do you have the buy-in of yourself? Are they willing to follow you as you follow your vision? Are you willing to follow yourself? Are you willing to follow yourself? Do you even like the vision you're going in? If you don't, you got to look at your environment. Am I surrounding myself with the right people to help me buy into myself? Because if you want people to follow you, how the hell are they going to follow you if you don't even buy in your own vision? And you could just be one person away. You have no idea who it could be in your life. There's people on this phone call, on this show right now that could help you. There's opportunities out there that you have. Many of you on here, I've had opportunities to have conversations with, to be able to see and help and grow and share, and you all help me as well. So I'm going to challenge you today, your buy-in. I first want you to buy into yourself. What is your vision? What is it that gets you up in the morning? What are you buying in today? Mike Castor and I were just talking about that this morning. What are you buying in today? What are you buying in today, Cullen? What are you buying in today, Chris, Christian, Bridget, Nick, Mike, Dee, Lisa, Todd? What are y'all buying in today? See, we go through life and sometimes we don't ask our simple questions to see what gets us going. What's our roadmap look like? And so today I challenge you, the law of the buy-in and in your life. Guys, it is 8:44. That is the Monday Morning with Maxwell. If you liked it, give me a heart. If you didn't like it, just keep your mouth closed. No, you can tell me what you think on it. Give me a thumbs up, give me a heart, give me a love. Facebook world, let me know what you got. I appreciate you all. Does anybody got anything they want to add, say? I hope not, because it's 8:45. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Chris. Guys, it is a happy Monday to you all. Happy June 5th to you. We will be here again tomorrow morning, 8:15, with good old Chad Free is going to be here. Guys, thank you so much. Love yous. Hey, don't forget my event next Tuesday, 7 o'clock. Remember, we got to take care of our West Coast people, Colin. 7 p.m., 7 p.m. It's a little bit late. Take a nap, East Coast. The Black Belt of Personalities, how I talk to people. See ya. BZ3.com.